Hello, Trinity Force podcast listeners.
That was extravagant.
A little. I'm sorry, Robin. I couldn't do it right. Yeah. Anyways, this is the Four Awards podcast, guys. My name is Haberdashing, and I'm joined by three lovely gentlemen: Aaronator, Aaron.
He's a Heron.
Fucking Aaron Harris. What's up?
Michael Asdo.
Hello. Asdo.
Steve Frostbutt.
Frostbutt, howdy there.
Wow.
Oh, man. Guys, it is great to be here. I am loving this time of year right now.
It's so cold.
We're going to get into talking about it in just a second. Just a few pieces of news. We're going to be doing a season wrap-up episode next week. And Froz wanted to do a little something special for that.
Yeah, so seasons only happen once a year, obviously, in League of Legends.
And four times a year.
What?
You know, changing.
I see. I'm an idiot. Christ. It's a bad sign when I think of League of Legends seasons.
Yeah.
When I think of actual seasons. Anyway.
What the fuck is spring?
Who knows, man? It's
I live in Michigan. I don't know what spring is.
21 comes out. Anyway, so we're doing sort of a reflection episode next week, and we're going to be talking a lot about what we set out to do in Season 5 and what we learned over the course of the season. So we're doing a contest where if you write in with something that you specifically learned and really helped and improved your play that you learned this season, just write into the show. Maybe put in the subject line like contest, 4 awards learned season 5, something along those lines, and then just in the email just say, you know, I learned how to watch the map and like this really helped me in XYZ, or just whatever personally helped you, and then you'll be entered into the contest to win a free $10 RP card. So we want to hear what you worked on. This show is about moving you forward, what moved you forward, and hopefully we can pass that along to other people that listen to the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll be looking forward to that coming up next week. Happening this Saturday, hopefully when the podcast goes out. That'll be the same time that we are doing the 24-hour extra live stream starting at 8 a.m. that day. So if you can tune into us, we'll be going live on Twitch all day there. We got League of Legends, D&D, a bunch of other stuff going on here, right, Doom?
Yeah, we've got some Hearthstone. We're going to have a 1v1 tournament that you can play. You can affect. It's going to be Bow Bow versus a special guest that they had on the Champ Select podcast. And so two, high diamond masters level players going against each other, you're going to be able to bet on what they have to build, who they have to play as, and stuff like that. Donate to affect that, and then as you do that, for at least donating $20 during that time, we're gonna have a company that makes compression gear for workout and stuff, giving out, putting people in a raffle for some free gear from them. We're going to have the guys from the Just Okay Gamers podcast joining us for some 5v5s, a little bit of shoutcasting from Guido himself. There's going to be lots of fun stuff.
I want to shoutcast with Guido.
I know, right?
Okay, but
I would say
you got to be there.
Fantastic, but it would probably just be okay.
It would be misleading.
Yeah.
Hello, this is Guido.
And
this is also Guido.
And this is Asterishan. We're going to be shoutcasting this game here for you guys. Are you ready?
Right?
I forgot how good your impersonation is. It's like Lanzo with his Dyrus impersonation, which we'll probably see if you join us for the stream.
We could just get.
You could do a Dyrus impersonation by not talking either.
or you can be like, "Hi, I'm Dyrus."
Or burning down a house.
Hi, I'm Dyrus. I'm on TSM, and I'm in the top lane, and no one ganks.
Nope.
Nah.
Not even close.
No. Sorry.
Not even
So,
close.
last little piece of news here. Patreon, that is still a thing. That is all I'm going to say about that here.
Thank
'Cause
you.
I feel like we talk about that quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, guys, don't forget, keep sending in your regular questions as well. We love getting them and love responding to them and love having them on the show here as well. So remember, that is 4wards@trinityforcepodcast.com is our email address. It's in the beginning of the show. It's usually in the description as well. If you can't find it, also Twitter, also a thing.
Let
Yeah.
us know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we love taking your questions, but you got to write in for us to answer them.
Yes. And our Twitter is at 4words podcast. That's the number
With the
4.
number.
We haven't
words
gotten any
podcast.
good questions either, so you guys
Oh,
are kind of
well.
slacking.
What the hell?
I'm sorry. I'm just saying. I was like looking at it. I was like, it's meh.
We do take the time to respond to them if we don't get to them on the show.
I
'cause
want like
we,
a good question.
Yeah.
Like a real
yeah,
good
let's
question.
God damn it, Esther.
I'm sorry.
That's how you motivate people to write in.
Yeah.
Give us your good ass
Well,
question.
honestly,
Give me your
half of your
best
questions are
freaking
shit.
question.
4wards
Yep.
at trinityforcepodcast.com, and it better be a good question.
Seriously, or else I'm gonna be mad.
God damn it. Okay, let's talk about items here. So, what the fuck is a Banshee's Veil, guys?
Honestly, I don't get the name. But Banshee's Veil
Oh.
is
Okay, quick
a-
tangent. Quick tangent. Did you know that a lot
Dude,
of
not a quick tangent. We didn't even get started on the main topic.
a lot
It's
of
not a
items
tangent,
are
that's just
named
A to
after a
D.
person. So Banshee may actually be a writer. Just saying.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
This is
So
Veil.
Banshee's Veil. Banshee's
For
Veil is
wedding? Oh.
Because
It's
it
an-
surrounds you and stops things from hitting you. That's veilish. Veil-esque. Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
It's I don't know, ghostly.
all right.
Now that we've gotten past the important stuff.
Are you finished?
No.
Can I start now?
Yeah. You can
Yeah.
go.
Are you sure?
Go, just start.
All right. Banshee's Veil. Banshee's Veil is an item that it's a defensive item. It gives you health, 450 health to be exact, 60 magic resist, 100% base health regeneration. What it does is it grants a spell shield that blocks the next enemy ability. The shield refreshes after no damage is taken from enemy champions for 40 seconds. It builds out of 2 items, a Spectre's Cowl, which is made out of a ruby crystal and null magic mantle, and a crystalline bracer, which is made out of a ruby crystal and a rejuvenation bead. And then you combine them with 900 gold, and boom, you have Banshee's Veil. Banshee's Veil is a really nice item against teams that have really strong ultimates or really strong CC lockdown. Being able to negate one spell, or like champions that have like a combo, if you can negate the damage from even one of those combo spells, it can help you a ton.
It's really good right now because I mean,
Yes.
with Worlds, Vigar got really popular, and it's amazing how good this item is when you have to deal with that enemy Vigar, Vigar, whatever you want to call him. Like his ability to not delete you in like one hit or insta stun you it's incredible, and that's what a spell shield allows you to do.
Yes. It's a really good item. Honestly, you can justify building it on just about any in just about any role in the game. Almost every position can justify building it depending on
Right.
your enemy. But
Yes,
the big
exactly.
thing is it's a very situational item, and it's an item that you build against certain enemies or certain team comps.
Right, and it does give a shit ton of MR and health, which makes it really good for anyone tanky. The only thing is that it's a very also selfish item when you look at,
Well-
like going Aegis instead.
Kind of, but at the same
Yeah.
time, you
Right,
have to understand.
I'm not saying it's bad. It's very good item. It's very strong.
This
Yeah.
this item's the perfect counter to pick comps. Like if there's a Thresh or a Blitz on the other team, or like a Vi or someone that's just like really good at getting instantly into stuff and then fucking you up. Like you get this on the high prio target that needs to stay, either stay alive or not get shut down for just a second so they can get off a combo or a CC. Like, this is who you buy it on. This, I don't think you'd buy this on carries, because usually you're buying this because you're getting focused, and if you're getting focused, that's a positioning problem oftentimes with carries. So I wouldn't say that this is a carry item at all.
Outside of QSS, this is the most common like defensive pickup for like an AD carry.
Guardian's Angel is also pretty popular. It's a toss-up between the two depending on the comp.
I would
it could
say
be
this
GA
is,
or Veil.
It's right, but this is one where there's a lot of magic damage is also the other part of it.
It's really good just for if the spell shields is impactful against the team you're up against. I mean, I've certainly got it on a lot of carry champions when the game allows for it. Even when I'm playing someone who's like just like a melee fighter or something, just being able to dive in, and I built mostly damage, but just to be able to negate one form of CC as I go in and then do whatever combo is planning, like that could be a make or break in a team fight.
Yeah, and it's not just CC. You stop everything. You stop the damage. You stop the spell. Any of effects that it has, like all of it. So I mean, well, it's not just useful for the shutdown and the CC. I would agree with that. Maybe not all carries. Ranged carries. I would not build. I don't build this on ranged carries like ever for me. Just my personal preference. I see.
Yeah,
like,
I see where you're coming from though.
At that point, I feel like it's my problem that I'm getting caught. So if I'm getting hit by Viger's Event Horizon as a carry, like an ADC marksman or something like that, then that's totally on me. And getting an item to negate that's a band-aid over a problem. That's not the solution.
I don't know.
I mean,
feel
at
like
some point, like you're kind of playing the lottery, and it will
Sure.
happen. Like you will eventually get hit by a blitz hook. You will eventually get hit by a Nid Spear. You will eventually.
And even Vigar, for example, like if he gets to that ultra late game, like if he just flash R's you, you're gonna die if you're an ADC. Like having a spell shield is huge.
True.
It's
So,
hard to
well,
outplay that sometimes.
let's give examples, because we're kind of talking about this item is it's a counter to certain champs or certain comps. So let's talk about who are like specific champs that you might think about building this item if you see them on the other team. Like ones I would personally recommend would be like Amumu, Malphite, Vigar, Rise. Anyone else you guys?
It's really good against a lot of AP like stun mages, like really like kind of to what Asterisk
Cassiopeia.
I was
said.
gonna say
Like-
Rise seems kind of like a wasted effort.
He's a combo
Aha,
mage though.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I was gonna
aha,
say
I
that.
blocked your rune prison. Oh, fuck.
Well, I mean,
He's like a machine.
It's not.
gun
You don't
mage.
even
It's
block.
different.
You don't even block the rune prison. No Rise would open up with rune prison on somebody that has Banshee's Veil in the first place. So you're
Right,
not
and
going to shut down
I
a
wanna-
Rise.
But
like-
even against a LeBlanc, for instance, like if you
Yeah.
have this, like she
Being
needs to
able-
proc her sigil in order to do most of her burst, and like if she has to use part of her combo just to like get your spell shield off, it kind of throws off her kill potential.
for sure.
Right.
So it's a good way to deny a large part of damage and their main role in the fight, or just their initiation, depending
Yeah,
on who
Exactly.
you're trying to block it from. The other point, which I don't know if we can really talk about here, but playing against the Banshee's
Yeah.
Veil.
That's what I wanted to talk about.
Yes.
It's huge. I mean, as I play Twisted Fate, and he actually has some pretty unique interactions with Banshee's Veil, and that his ultimate actually pops Banshee's Veil for everyone on the map that has that item.
That is rude.
But what happens is you don't get the true sight on them when you do it.
Yeah.
So it can be in
Same
most
thing with
cases
Nocturne,
it's
by the way.
yeah, Nocturne can do it as well. But I've had like I've definitely won a late game team fight before against like a Fed ADC where I saw that they had the Banshee's Veil, I pressed R and then like threw out my gold card, because if otherwise it just would have been ineffective.
No, it's good. Yeah.
Right, but like in a lot of other situations, you can have the opportunity to use the less impactful spell CC or whatever to pop the Banshee's Veil.
Exactly.
As a rule of thumb, you shouldn't go in on an engage unless Banshee's Veil is popped prior and cooldowns have begun to reset, because like fighting with a Banshee's up is so difficult. Because even if especially if it's on like somebody that can really screw up the team, like somebody like getting on like someone like Scion is super good because you just get into the middle of the team after you ultimate, and they can't shut you down with any sort of CC because of the Veil, and you're just like fucking people up.
Yeah, and to go to Haber's point, like imagine if you're playing someone like Jace and you've got an Amumu on your team, like your priority should be like if you think you're gonna engage soon, try and like hit a shock blast that's gonna pop that Veil, so that way when Amumu goes in and presses R, like you actually get a good ultimate and lock down the enemy team.
Yeah.
And a lot of times this is going to be on those like long range ability champions. So like if you're playing anyone like Lux or Xerath or Ezreal or anyone that has, you know, distance poke, it's going to be your job to take care of these Banshee Veils for your melee and other people, because they can't, what are they going to do to that? Like it's at that point, you know, you got to maybe put yourself out there to proc that, which, you know, that can be a problem, but that's why you do it with those long range champions. You got to proc those Banshees before you fight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Banshee's also pretty good against some of the champions you just mentioned. Like, if you get hit by a Lux Binding and you got a Banshee's Veil, it's like, well, I guess you're not comboing me.
For now.
Yeah.
For now. But that thing's up
now,
in 9
yeah.
seconds, and yours is up in 31, so...
So if you're the Lux in that situation, that might be a situation where you might try and hit them with an E first, and then try and look for a snare after that.
I don't know. It kind of depends on what you're trying to get, because a lot of, I mean, just for a Lux, like you have to see what is going to do the most damage and what's going to give you the most in that opportunity. And this is just for Lux, an example. You're maxing your singularity, which means that your E is going to do the primary amount of damage. Now, if you blow your E on the spell shield, what are you going to have to follow up with damage? You throw your Q and an ult out, that's not going to kill him. You just blew your ult. So is that really, was that really the effective use?
Yeah, no, I guess what I was envisioning was more like a
team
siege
fight
situation.
Scenario. Yeah, sure.
And less of a catch scenario.
I get you. But a lot of times in those situations where you're throwing out the light binding at somebody that has, or an E at somebody that has that Banshee's Veil, like it's got to be, it needs to be the reason to proc it so that you can set your team up. Not because, you know, you just want to proc the Banshee's Veil for fuck all reason. Like you have to be deliberate with you procking the Banshee's Veil, making sure that your team can follow up right after you proc it, because that's what's important.
Yeah, and if you're ever in a duel with somebody and they've got a Veil and you have like some sort of really important CC in your kit, like try and use whatever's gonna, like try and make sure that when you need to hit them with the impactful ability in your kit, like don't waste it on the Veil. Like you even if you're doing your abilities out of the normal order, like on TF, I might try and wild card you before I gold card, just so that way I know my gold card will stun you. Things like that are just playing around the fact that they have the Veil up.
But at the same time, remember, like I would agree with that. But again, in a duel situation, if you're gonna blow your like strongest ability to proc a spell shield so that you can get the like stun or CC, that's not useful in the long run. Like it's better for you to blow the Aurelia E so that you can follow up with, you know, whatever burst amount of damage you can do with your W than it is for you to just like say Q the person and then E them. Right. When Q is your getaway. What if you didn't have a ward down, you blew their spell shield, and now you're caught because you used your Q on the person, and that was just like, well, I need to blow their spell shield. Your Q is your most impactful, you know, ability in that situation. You got to hold on to that. You know, if you come into a pickle, that's your getaway. So impactful is the important thing. Not necessarily blow your, you know, save your CC for when they're not when they don't have the spell shield.
Yeah, whatever's going to be most effective.
Exactly. Right. It may not be the CC. It may be the CC.
Yep. So I think that's about it that we want to talk about for right now.
Yeah.
Right?
We could talk a lot about spell shields and how to work around them, but
yeah, there's a lot of nuance.
Okay. So our topic for this week here is going to be about the preseason. This is my favorite time of the year.
It's pretty fun.
It's not just season 5 forever?
Wonderful.
No, it's going to be winter, then spring, then. But it's not quite here yet. It won't be here until probably late November, early December. That's when the patch goes live.
Yep.
And all hell breaks loose.
But
yes,
it is the most exciting time in League of Legends.
I think so as well.
It's the most fun. I love it. Just
That-
because there's so much new.
Well,
Yeah.
there's so much new stuff, and then everyone's kind of going in with the same on the same playing level. You know, it kind of evens out the fields a bit because everyone's kind of going in not knowing everything about all the new stuff. So like, you know, people are finding certain things, and then you know, we've talked on the show about not theory crafting before. This is a time of the year when you can kind of throw that little tip of ours out the window and theory craft to your delight, because there's just so much cool stuff people think of during this time of year, and so much stuff that gets exploited and patched out and is broken.
Yeah, just for some context here.
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
Just for
I
some
never said
context-
don't theory craft. That was not me.
No, we
Just
said-
saying.
Well, no,
I think
we
like
said
the
be
point,
cautious with theory crafting.
Yeah, don't take it too far.
Yeah.
Which it
Don't
I think
only
still
theory
holds,
craft.
but
That's really
it's
just don't
Yeah.
only theory craft. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Like if you theory craft
Unless
a
that's
lot,
your
there's nothing wrong
thing.
with that. But like just don't only theory craft. That doesn't help
Right.
you become a better player.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what.
But just to get some context back to the preseason. So on November 11th of this year, season 5 is going to end. And hopefully all you out there listening reached whatever goals you set for yourself this season. And if you're right at the edge of the climb when you're listening to this, best of luck trying to wrap it up. And then
can
at
do
that
it.
point, after November 11th, ranked the season 5 reward system is no longer in play, and ranked is essentially, it becomes this kind of gray area where you can still play ranked, but there's no end of season
Yeah.
rewards.
I put this in later in the notes, but let's talk about that right now. What is the point of still playing ranked between November 11th and we'll say like early December when the preseason patch hits?
MMR gain. It's MMR gain is the only reason to do it. You get your MMR high enough to the point where when the soft reset hits next year and we lose the rank that we're at currently, we won't go down as far. So, for example, I'm in gold right now. I think I'm gold 4. When the soft reset hits, I will probably go down after my promos to probably silver 2. If I'm fortunate, maybe silver 1. But if I were to get a bunch of levels during the preseason, maybe get up to gold 1 and do those same promos, I might still be in gold when the soft reset lands. Now, that's
Yeah.
super good because that means I don't have to get out of silver when the shitstorm of 2016 hits with the new season, because there's always that 3-month period where it's just like,
Right.
nobody knows what we're doing in ranked. What are we doing? It is just chaos.
It's
So
that's
that's
why
why
that is
preseason
that
just
is the
happened.
one downside of the new season.
So that's
is
why the
everyone's
preseason is
getting
great.
back in the rank queues at the same time, and it is just a fucking mess.
It's
Yeah.
it's the good it's a good opportunity to, if you're good at the game and good at adapting, you can take your adaptive skills, take them into ranked, and begin to toy with like the little things that are changing, and then with that you can also gain some experience with the new ranked season and also put yourself at a better advantage for when the reset comes. So that's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
perks of the preseason.
And at the
But-
end of the day, you're playing against people around your skill level. I mean, it's slightly less competitive, but it's ranked is still a good place to go to get better at the game. So if you're trying to like make sure you're ready when season 6 rolls around, like it's still good to play ranked games in the preseason. But if you're kind of just content with ranked for the rest of the season and you'll wait till the next season, that's still an option.
It does have like diminishing returns, sort of like when the soft reset happens. What the system does is it takes your hidden MMR plus the average MMR of players, which I think they've set at 1,200. And they divide that by. That's what it
so.
used to be. They may have lowered it a little bit,
Should be 12.
but yeah, because 1,200 I think is around silver 4.
Silver 3.
Is it? Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's silver 3.
So if it is still around that, use that as a frame of reference of where that 1,200 MMR is. So, you know, if you're around there already, there's not a whole lot of point in playing ranked unless you think you can climb a significant amount. But yeah, that's what it's your MMR plus 1,200 divided by 2. And that's where you'll start off when you do your placements.
Yeah. So that's kind of what happens to ranked. And then, as Haber alluded to, probably towards the end of November, a huge patch will hit, and then the preseason will officially kick in, and that's where all these insane changes will happen to the game, like changes to the game that are way bigger than any patch that happened in the entirety of season 5, like things that will fundamentally change the way that you play the game, and that's what we're gonna try and ease you into.
May be one of the largest changes to the game since season 2.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, you have changes to the mastery tree. You have the attack damage item overhauls. You have a bunch of champs getting reworks or retoolings. You have new consumable items, new vision items, even a new jungle camp going in. So it's there's so many ways that the game as a whole can be affected.
Right. And then the new whole champ select and priority systems. Not to mention the what is it called now for the queues? The it's like more than solo queue.
Dynamic queue.
Dynamic
queue.
Which we can't talk about this week. It's a big thing and it is controversial. That's why I want to wait to talk about it till a few weeks down the road here and the dust settles. Because holy shit, there are some polarizing opinions about it.
Yeah, but I don't know. Well, let's not get into it.
Yeah, let's not get into it because we'll just eventually just talk all about that. But I mean, this happens every year around this time. Riot shakes the game up in some form or another by messing with either the champions, the structure behind the game as far as like runes and masteries, or even just the client in and of itself. And all three of those things are going to be happening come season 6 here, which makes it such a huge change. And this is why I love it.
Yeah.
Pretty big.
I mean, it's nice because a lot of times what it will do is it will refresh the meta a bit. Like you'll start to see champions that maybe you haven't seen in a while start to make a comeback. Like one thing we're discussing before the show here is that even though, and that's one thing in the preseason to look at, even though they're not necessarily making a ton of sweeping changes to the jungle itself, like they did last preseason, because last preseason the main thing they did was jungle stuff.
It was all about the jungle.
It was all jungle. But even though a lot of the stuff has nothing to do with the jungle, it's going to affect the jungle a lot. And we're starting to see that maybe assassin junglers could make a huge comeback.
Oh
god,
no jungle fizz, mommy, please no.
It's coming back, bitch.
Oh,
jungle
it's coming back.
We're gonna see a lot of assassin junglers in my personal opinion.
No,
I agree. A lot of our opinion.
And I think you should definitely tune into the proper too, because the proper, they're going into like a lot of detail about every single change that's going on in the preseason.
Have they started talking about that yet?
They're right now. They talked about the
masteries. I thought they were doing masteries.
They did marksman.
Well, they'll be doing that for probably the next couple episodes, I'm sure. Hopefully they'll still be doing it by next Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many sweeping changes, and
because I want to fucking talk about it.
You really have to kind of look at it. It allows you to look at your champ pool, say, who can I play more? Who should I be playing more? Who maybe do I have that I haven't touched that I could possibly look at play?
Dust off that old champion that you haven't played in a while. Say, oh, maybe all these changes can really work for this person. That's what happened to Warwick at the start of season 5.
Yeah, that
was
okay. That wasn't because there was just an item that went with what Warwick just does. And,
and that brought him out of the closet, basically.
That item got a lot of people out of the closet. It was just so good for Warwick because he is the traditional iconic auto attacker.
Right, but that's a really big example of it. But there are a lot of other champions that are going to benefit from the smaller changes. Subtle ones.
A subtle example would be someone like Xin Zhao, who benefited a lot from. You're talking about what's it fucking called?
Feral Flare.
Feral Flare, who benefited a lot from Feral Flare. Xin did. Not as much as Warwick did, but he also found a lot of success in the jungle when that item came out. And, he was brought back because of that item. And then Devourer came around, and he was still good because of that item, because he's also one of those traditional auto attackers that, succeeds with on hits. Not as powerful as someone like Warwick, but there's going to be in every preseason there's that iconic like, oh shit, there's that guy, because that's the champion that got made out to be the best one because of the changes. And then there's the little underlings who benefit a lot from it, but not as much as that main person. And a lot of those little underlings, could surprise you as far as who may be good next season.
Yeah,
Right.
and honestly about the preseason is that don't get too worried that things are going to be stuck the way they are and things are going to stay overpowered, because Riot is experimenting, and then once they realize something's a bit too crazy or a bit too strong, they kind of reel it back and they balance things before the actual season really kicks in.
Yeah, while everything's released to the PBE right now, I mean, like with Quinn, changes have been going back and forth every day, like day to day within the same day, number changes on like her Q and her ulti, and so they have a general idea of what they're doing right now. They're working out the numbers and how it's going to work. So that's the one thing. Don't let the kinks in the system work themselves out. I swear, like between the end of the season and like the first couple weeks into preseason, sites like Reddit become a complete shit show.
Yeah. So you got to stay away from, I'm serious, stay away from sites like Reddit about the preseason, because a lot of times you're just going to get a bunch of, you're going to see just a shit ton of negativity from people
today and yesterday,
from people that don't know what they're
Q.
talking about. Half of them don't know a fucking word that they're talking about. Seriously. I've been around this game for a pretty long time. I can tell you when something is like, okay, that's probably going to get nerfed pretty quick, but okay. You'll see that and people will be like, man, that's going to be so broken, blah blah blah. Come on, people, they're gonna fix it. Never get uptight about preseason changes. They're gonna they're not finalized until the very end.
Yeah, just let them work themselves. The one thing, even though they had Feral Flare last season, it was nowhere near the other preseasons for broken shit that was there.
And it only
at the start of preseason.
It only broke maybe 2 champions.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It was not that bad.
And then you have season 3 where you had the defensive mastery tier change.
Well, okay, yeah.
Where
I was thinking season 4.
Oh, maybe no. I think it is actually.
And Feral Flare
4
was not preseason. It was Devourer was the preseason.
Yeah. And Feral Flare. But Garen, Mundo, any regen people with that defensive tree, second win.
God.
Are you kidding? You want to talk about shitstorm? That was bullshit compared to just the Feral Flare thing.
League of Black Cleavers.
They fixed that real quick. They always hop on that pretty quick.
League of War, things like that. Riot has gotten sort of a knack for nipping that in the bud before it becomes a huge problem.
We dealt with
and one thing about preseason that's nice is that you have a lot of content creators who are throwing stuff up on YouTube right now, so you can already kind of start to see the way things are. But the nice thing is too that all this stuff is already on the PBE. So if you have a PBE account, you can check it out now. And if you don't, check out YouTube, check out Twitch, because there's a lot of people streaming this stuff. So you can get a good look at it early. And the nice thing about PBE, though, is that it's going to help them flush out a lot of the, oh, shit, we accidentally broke X, before these patches come out. And there's still going to be stuff, though, that's broken.
There's some people right now that are...
preseason is a tumultuous time. That you're going to see a lot of patches, a lot of hot fixes, because people are going to be broken.
Well,
it happens.
Get
PBE, used to it. Don't get butthurt about it. You're going to lose some games because there's going to be that one person who found that broken.
But I mean, since ranked isn't really a thing in preseason, you don't have to fucking worry about it.
I think they really only do 2 or 3 preseason patches. The initial preseason patch like the midway preseason patch, which is like if there's anything that's stupid broken they have to fix, AP Rengar, they just need to shut it down, AP Rengar really quick, AP Rengar, then they just deal with it really, really fast and they just shut it down.
Yeah.
And then that last little one is for when the rank season starts to kick in.
Right.
Yeah, it's not a whole bunch of patches, but there are several.
Like what Doom was saying before, resources are out. The numbers and general changes have been out for roughly a week now. A little bit more than that, maybe. But we said earlier, everyone starts around the same plane at the beginning of the season, except for the people who are ahead of the curve and have taken the time to look through all these changes and figure out what's going to be working and seeing what has been working for people on the PvE or earlier on before ranked hits. So you have a better idea how everything's gonna work out, so you're not going into the game just like, wait, what the fuck are these new items?
Yeah, and a lot of people get overwhelmed when the preseason rolls around. And I know, even personally, as somebody who's put a lot of time into this game, I look at all these changes and I have trouble keeping track of everything that's gonna happen. And realistically, you're just gonna have to play it. Like, once you start playing the game, it'll start to make a lot more sense.
Don't focus.
Getting onto the PvE. You're like, I thought I read through all the changes. Then like, wait, jungle can't support a 150. Wait, I have 500 starting gold. Wait, why is everyone getting a shutdown at 2 kills? Wait, why are there numbers next to my name? Like, all this shit. Like, holy shit, there's so much going on. What the fuck is Cole?
When reading the patch notes and like looking at what's going to be introduced into the game, first thing you should notice, one, don't ever focus on champion specific things because they are tentative, they may change. So even if you look at it right now, you have no clue if that's going to stay. So don't bother getting too hung up on it. And two, it's probably going to be for champions who's minute. It's like so minute that it's just to fix some little thing. Like I'm getting a little excited about Lux's increase on her base mana, but I know that may be tentative. She's also getting less mana over per level. But the whole point is that, you know, I can begin
love that you're still excited about that.
Don't get too hung up on it because like that's probably going to change, and I shouldn't be focusing on that. I should be focusing on other stuff that will probably get implemented in the game, like the removal of sight wards or something like that.
But if you have champions that you do play, it's a good thing to understand how these changes are going to affect them.
Sure, but
absolutely,
I feel initially like if you know that a champion's getting changed, then yeah, sure, keep an eye on them and just kind of gauge. But like it's better, I feel, to focus on what's going to happen to items and gameplay before what's going to happen to champions.
Yeah,
because champions are way more tentative than gameplay and item changes.
You have to look at the overall health of the game too, because there are certain aspects that will change, like the speed of the game, the pace of the game, how fast our tower is going down, how important is Dragon now, how important is top lane as compared to bot lane. Things like that are going to change a lot.
With the Rift Herald, that's not gonna. So cool. People are not gonna understand how that is really going to affect the game until
Haberdashing. What's the Rift Herald?
Is he gonna I'm just thinking about my first few games in the new preseason. He's gonna kill so many people.
Rift Herald fucks people off.
What is the Rift Herald?
He is Baron Jr.
Oh yeah, there's
I like that.
He spawns early into the game. He gives a portion of Baron buff basically, and he's in Baron Pit.
There's a cool Reddit post about when Baron comes in and the Herald is still there, that Baron should eat the Herald. It's just rather than doing his usual slither in.
I think it should be like the Rift Herald waves to Baron, like, "Hi, Dad." But that's basically what it is. And even I still am not sure how it's going to really impact the game. I can sit here and think about it, but until that really hits live and there are now millions and millions of people actually experimenting on it, and then once it hits LCS, that's when you really see concrete
meta
changes that happen in the meta. So things are going to be up in the air for a while.
We don't know the meta.
It's fine to experiment with stuff.
It's super awesome that we don't know the meta too. Makes me happy.
Yeah,
I love not knowing what the meta is gonna be.
because I love guessing at it. Like, holy shit, Ginsu's looks like it may be pretty cool now.
Yeah, and
I always
mean,
like the idea of
you'd be
Ginsu.
surprised, like
Get that shit on Kale, start slapping bitches left and right.
Yeah, you'd be surprised the type of diversity that you're gonna see in Champ Select during preseason, and just don't be worried about it. Don't flame on people because they want to play new support or something like that. You know, you'd be surprised like how much just certain item changes or certain meta changes and all the huge sweeping changes that happen in preseason. People are going to experiment, and you need to experiment yourself. It's okay to experiment. Go out there and, you know, take a fun champ, take a champ, and just throw them in a lane and see what happens. This is the time for you to experiment and learn what works, what doesn't, and what's fun.
And also, don't hang too tightly to your old conceived notions of how the game works, because you might be like, well, Graves always goes bot lane with a support, and then all of a sudden he's like shows up in the jungle.
Well, I mean, like, lanes in general, like, it depends. I've seen lots of people thinking, okay, with the new Rift Herald, how's that going to change the dynamic of where people are at? Because, like, originally, there's, like, fuck all reason to be in top lane. Now there is. How is that going to fuck with stuff now? And I don't know.
Right, you go duo lane top? No,
yeah,
I mean,
there may be huge changes.
It could be. I'm personally thinking, and I'm just like, But yeah, and that's another thing. You can't jump to conclusions yet. But, I mean, don't jump to any conclusions just yet.
Yeah, just realize if there was ever a time to just fucking have fun with League of Legends,
it's totally preseason.
It's preseason.
Yes,
it really is. Yeah. Try and understand.
It is a Christmas every day until rank starts.
Yeah. One important thing about the preseason and when reading the preseason notes is try and get an idea of what Riot is trying to do with the change. And from there, you can gauge as to what is going to be implemented. Like with the Rift Herald, we know that there's going to be something there. He's probably going to get implemented. So we're going to get this idea. Like that is the beginning. That's the foundation of our theory crafting, is that the top portion of the map Riot wants some focus on. So we could see more changes going on in that like area of the map. We could see more changes to top laners. Like there could be, you know, there's a lot of stuff that could be implemented still.
Yeah, you start to see like do objective control junglers make a comeback because you want to control, you know, objectives on both sides of the map? Do more aggressive top laners come back, and does TP kind of start to go away on top laners because they're more focused on winning the lane so that they can get the Rift Herald and just shove that lane and, you know, end the laning phase fast? Do you focus more on vision in the top as compared to the bottom? Do you care about dragon at all? Does the entire like gank and movement path of certain junglers change? Like it's and the funny thing is, like, we were kind of all talking about it before the show here, and as you see us all making points, depending on what you usually play or what role you usually main, you're gonna think about it a lot differently. Like me personally, I don't give a shit about the ADC changes personally. It just makes me think, do I need to focus more about ADC snowballing and becoming monsters mid-game?
Do we need to make the bottom lane a 4v4 or a 5v5? Fuck you guys.
Or do I need to focus on ganking bot more and shutting down that ADC more, or do I need to focus top more to get the Rift Herald and potentially negate an ADC becoming strong? Like, there's so many questions.
And I think at a minimum, if you are listening to this, take some time between now and when the preseason changes go live on the server to, you know, look through some of these changes, because there's a lot. And I'm not saying you have to understand all of them, but like pick something out that you really feel interested in.
And again,
I guarantee there's so much.
I want to emphasize not focusing too much on champion specific changes, because if there's a dynamic that's being changed about a champion, then sure, like, you know, like rework on the ability of what it does or something like that. But number changes, like, oftentimes you may not even notice a difference. They're so minute, and like we said, they're tentative. They just distract you from the overall gameplay changes, which is what you should really focus on.
Absolutely.
One magical thing about the preseason is that because it's this time period where ranked is really not as much of a priority for a lot of people. I mean, I know personally, I usually just grind most of my ranked like when the season's actually live. Like during the ranked season, I usually take a fairly narrow champion pool. I focus, I try hard, I do a lot of things. But then once the preseason opens up and I'm not really like trying to grind ranked, I just try out like all these different roles I don't normally play, all these champions I don't usually play, and then I just try and learn something new.
That's a really good point. It's a good time to expand your champion pool.
Totes malotes. You see some cool change on a champion that you're like, oh yeah, as Rishan said, pay attention to ability changes. I like where that is going with Graves. I could get interested in Graves. Let's try Graves.
Yeah,
do it.
I like Graves now.
Last preseason.
Well, I liked them a lot before, but
last preseason made me pick up Vi and J4 a lot, and I really enjoy those champs a lot now still. So
you might actually end up finding something that you experimented with in the preseason, and it might become like your go-to for ranked in the following season. Like when I have to play top lane now, I play Gnar because like I played nothing but Gnar last preseason because I was like, this champion is so much fun. And like now whenever I go top, like that's pretty much who I play.
One of my best saves, like best comebacks, was with Gnar. So total side tangent, but yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So cool.
God damn it.
So satisfying, those 5-man ults.
Yeah,
it is.
We will talk about dynamic queue in another episode here, but like we said before, just want to give it some time.
We're gonna open up a can of worms on that one. I'm a shit on Riot for this one.
Instead of talking about dynamic queue, but what we should say is that the way that queues work in League of Legends is fundamentally changing. And one of the biggest things that's coming in, besides just this whole dynamic queue, which we'll get into a big argument, is that
hopefully not like an argument.
You're actually going to be able to pick your roles going forward. Which
let's
is
at least
very different.
Let's hit on that here quick, because like it'll be like Team Builder where you got to pick a champ, but instead you'll be able to pick just a regular role. Oh my, like. Whatever you want to think about dynamic queue, fine, but like the whole retooling of the champ select is phenomenal.
Yeah,
I think
I'm interested in for sure.
I think it's nice because it's gonna make hopefully the idea is to make solo queue less toxic and make I've said before my whole feeling on how to approach like going into solo queue and stuff like that, and I've had I kind of got to a point where I was baiting people into leaving the game, dropping queue, and I really think that this will help with that mindset I had, because it really I got really upset about that when people would try to force you into a role you don't like and stuff like that. It's really going to help prevent that from ever happening, prevent you from ever having to abandon a game.
And all it does is just really increases team communication. What do you want to do? Okay, I'm going to queue up to this game. I want to play either top or mid. There you go. If I can, I'll play this champion.
There's some things they did about the way the draft works where I'm just like, why wasn't this there in the first place? That makes so much sense.
Like bans.
One of my things I was thinking about in line with bans, but actually just the pick process.
Okay,
Why would you ever have two people pick at the same time and then have like this awkward moment? Now somebody has to pick their champion before even if two people on the same team are picking. Mm-hmm. You'll actually have one person lock in before the other, so that way there's not this awkward, are you going here, there, or there? You take each other's roles, and it just makes so much sense.
I love the idea of pick intent, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm going to go bottom. I'm planning on playing this guy here. So, like, not only does your team have a chance to play around that, especially, like, say, if you're planning on playing Yasuo. Like, okay, I can then go for something else. But, I mean,
Well,
oh god.
the other thing I like is that the bands aren't going to be all assigned to one person anymore.
Right.
It's actually going to be assigned to the three people lowest in the pick order. So it gives everyone a little more say in the game, and a little more say as to like, hey, this is how I think our team, should function. This is what I think of this lane matchup, or ABC. Is it? I don't know. Is it good or bad? Because you could have people that are going to argue for the exact opposite, and that's fine. That's the nice thing, once again, about preseason. It's testing the waters. It's saying, hey, would this make sense? And kind of throwing it out there and giving these different options.
Yeah. So lots of changes. Go ahead, check them out here. We'll move on to a question, if you guys are cool.
Yeah, please. I didn't want to get into dynamic because I knew I was going to start.
No.
Trash
That's
talking,
why we're
so
waiting.
Let's get out of that.
All right. So, question coming in. Hey guys, great show. Keep it up. I appreciate every episode. My question today involves an item that doesn't exist. Ellipses yet. Ellipses. There are items that remove rebuffs. There are stasis items. There are life-giving items like Guardian Angel. There are items that slow your enemies. There are items that speed up your team, and many more. Will Riot ever come out with a new item that, when activated, it will knock up an enemy or AoE area?
Oh.
No.
Please discuss and imagine there's an item CCC 7676. Thanks for sending in the question, man.
This is just one of those things that would, honestly, I think would completely break the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't.
Hi,
totally
I'm
would.
Garen. I have no CC.
It totally
hey,
would.
look, I'm Garen. Now I have knock
CC.
you up.
And then what causes the knockup? Like, it's an item that makes a tremor and explodes you out of the ground or something like that.
Let's not think too much about that point here. Just the thought of having a knock up or knock aside or any displacement in an item.
Displacement is the strongest form of
Well,
CC in the game.
Well,
kind of. Knock up specifically, yes.
It's not it's not. I wouldn't say it's always the strongest, but it's definitely a part of it that League has made.
Yeah.
It cannot be I don't want to say it can't be countered, but it's meant to stand on its own from other parts of CC.
It's like suppression in the sense that it's like there are different tiers of level of CC. Displacement, suppression, those are the top tier levels of CC, and then there's like stuns and snares, and then there's slows, silences somewhere in the middle of that. But like suppression and displacement, those are the like, and then knockups being the ultimate god tier of CC. That's your best CC. No, an item that would make the best CC, I don't think so.
Honestly, I don't even think it's necessarily. I don't think pretty much any hard CC would be acceptable in an item. Even if it was just a stun, because if you think about champions and the way they're balanced in League of Legends, like Katarina has to play around cooldowns and like, okay, I see that so-and-so just used this ability. Now's my turn to go in when they're low on health. If all of a sudden she goes in to cast her ultimate and somebody like taps an item on her and she can't use her ult anymore, like that would completely break the way her kit works.
And 5 people can buy it? Like,
yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you have, okay, let's just say like Tarek, give him some love here. He can instantly stun Katarina, get her out of that ultimate. But then Katarina knows, okay, it's just that Tarek. I can play away from that or wait for that to happen. But when you have the potential for up to 5 people to be able to do that, it can really unbalance the game.
Yeah.
And the same thing with like something like a knockup. The other thing I want to talk about, like all these other items that you've kind of mentioned, like GA, Zonias and stuff, those are really fucking strong, but each of them has a condition to them. Yes, you come back to life, but it's only to a third life, and you had to be in that same place for like 2 seconds while it's reviving.
You had
Zonias,
to have
yes,
died.
you're completely invulnerable for 2.5 seconds, but you can't do anything yourself, and you're still rooted in that same place. So like, it's really hard to have a hard CC on an item and think of a way to balance that where there's something that you're losing by using it.
Like hard CC is so effective that like I would buy it on almost this item on almost any champion unless the stats were like absolutely horrendous for the gold cost, and even then,
but
I would
exactly,
still probably buy it.
like you look at back when Aegis stacked on top of each, or not Aegis, back when Locket would stack on top of each other in the LCS, every single person bought a Locket. Every mages included, everybody bought a Locket. There were five, exactly. There were 5-man Locket teams.
Yep.
And there were like that doesn't benefit like a marksman or a AP carry all that much, like defensive stats and health.
A little exaggeration, but I mean, like, I get the point.
The point being, like, I would buy a knock-up item for sure.
Yeah.
On almost every single champion.
It really wouldn't matter what champ I was playing. I'd basically be guaranteed that I'm going to buy that item.
Now, like, this may change down the road if Riot ever decides to revisit all of, like, the displacements. But as it stands right now, it is incredibly unlikely that an item like that would ever come out.
Like Riot would have to introduce other items into the game that would shake up the game even more, like maybe ones that give you more resistances to hard CC that like would negate this, but then like we're talking about a completely different game.
Yeah, they just give you, they put a star from the Mario universe into here.
It just walks around Summoner's Rift and you get the star, you're invincible.
Yeah. they replace the Rift Scuttler with a star. You have to take a warp pipe down and defeat a giant rift crab, and you get the star.
If League of Legends turned into like a platforming game randomly, like 20 minutes in,
should we talk? I mean, we've talked about tenacity and how it interacts with CC before. Should we retouch on it to kind of explain why a knockup specifically might be too much? Because like So, you know, we've sort of touched on tenacity before, and this is going to get maybe changed with some of the items, but tenacity doesn't reduce the duration of knockups. It's one of the only CCs, along with suppression, that doesn't get reduced with tenacity. So when you get knocked up, if you're up there for 2 seconds, that's not going to change no matter what you do. You're up there for 2 seconds. So you could get stunned for 2 seconds, but reduce that down to half a second, depending on, you know, how much tenacity you have.
If you're Aurelia.
If you're Aurelia and you're running defensive stats with Merc Dreads, but I mean, or defensive masteries. But the point is that when you, like, that is the best CC because of that reason. You cannot reduce the duration of this CC. Therefore, it is the best CC. When you put the best, theoretically putting the best CC on an item, it just makes it broken. Just plain and simple.
Like hard CC, like a knockup, is the answer to tenacity. But it's in a fairly good balance right now. An item would completely throw that out of whack.
Enough people have knockups to make tenacity not as dangerous, but at the same time, there's not a lot of ways to counteract knockups to the point where if knockups start to become like a serious problem, like that item would just be more of a hindrance to that. You know, if more champions start to get knockups too, like that will also be more of a problem too. It's that whole idea of like if there's enough of it in the game, then you're going to see it all the time, and then at that point, it's not that special. It's just part of the game. Knockups are special because, like Haber said, they counter tenacity.
Yeah.
So if you see too much of it, then it's not good. That's not not healthy.
I just think of this item though, and I just think like honestly, we're talking a lot about knockups, but even if it was just like a Taric stun and this was on an item, I would just think it would be way too strong for the way League of Legends is currently designed.
Yeah, currently.
I could see maybe a silence at best. We already have a slow. I think a silence is the only other thing I could see on an item. I don't think we could see a slow. I don't think we'll see another stun. I don't think we'll see a snare or anything like that. I think silence.
Well, slows we already have plenty of.
Yeah, we have plenty of slows on items, but I don't think we would see. No, not hard CC like that.
It's interesting to think about, and I like where your mind's going with it. But just it in reality, it's just it's too much. The world isn't ready for it.
No.
No,
Well,
no.
there's-
I mean, there is no way in the current state of the game, currently the way the game is, there is no way that you can create that
It's-
item
It
and it
sounds
not
like
be
fun.
broken.
And then
Yeah,
think
it
of
sounds like fun, but as soon as it gets in the game, you're like, oh shit.
Think
this-
about it
this-
on champions
this makes
like
the game
Leona,
suck.
Alistair, people that have a fuck ton of CC already.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just imagine that person having another CC. An Alistair
Yeah.
with another stun or knockback or knock up.
The
Leo-
game isn't designed to have that much CC.
Leona with 6 different ways to stop or slow somebody. Like,
Item comes in the game.
Oh,
Nautilus.
We doing it
Nautilus.
now, boys.
that'd be terrifying.
Nautilus Ryan has decided that Nautilus needs more CC. So we gave him an item that gives him more CC.
And only Nautilus can buy it.
Oh god.
Only aquatic themed characters. No.
Anyway, but no, it's a good topic. I like theory crafting items.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with theory crafting items is that, like, that is the one thing that we really have no control over. Like, we can fuck with champion
Ryan could
builds.
listen and say, "Oh fuck these guys, we're making that item."
They could too. They could. But like, you can really change a champion's abilities, and you know how they're strong just by changing runes and masteries. Like, you can really begin to complexify a champion and make them weird. But with items, like, those things are stagnant. That you like my complexify? I thought you might.
I want to see another email about complexified, not
Hey,
made
just
for it.
hey, let me throw this out here. A little
That's a nice
complicate.
bushism.
little FYI to the
Complicate.
listeners. We get your emails, we get your tweets about our words, our usage of words, and mispronunciation of words and things like that. Deal with it. I'm sorry. That's just kind of how we are.
I
how we
care.
talk. I don't know. Niche, like when I say niche, I know that niche is a word, and niche-y is me saying that something is niche-y. Like it's like
Yeah,
Deal
to be
with
fair, he wasn't mispronouncing
Oh,
niche.
Asterisk
But
came prepared.
Yeah, he's got his sunglasses that no one can actually see until we say he has
Yes.
sunglasses on.
yeah,
Deal with
He's
it.
got to deal with it. sunglasses.
deal with it.
It's not for
So,
them. It's for us.
Okay, so I think that was completely derailed now. So we're
Yeah.
just gonna have to call it quits after that.
You know what? We're done.
Bye.
Don't send us questions. Don't fucking talk to us. We're done.
No,
No,
guys,
send us
actually,
questions.
in reality, please send us questions because
Unless
we're
they're
running
shit.
dangerously low.
And once again, let us know what you learned in season 5. Write in. We're gonna have a $10 RP contest, so please write in. And let us know.
Yes.
Yeah, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.